Gear up and get ready. You're watching Engineering Talk, where we turn what if into how to. Let's dive in. Hi everyone, I'm a highway engineer. We build roads and bridges to connect people. It's about creating the road beyond.
Hey there, and welcome. You know, we spend a huge chunk of our lives on roads, but have you ever really, truly stopped to think about what they are? Today, we're going to peel back the asphalt and uncover the hidden language of our roads. And trust me, you are going to be surprised by the stories they have to tell. So, let's dive in.
Just take a look at this. Now, it might seem like a pretty normal street, right? But every single thing you see here, from how wide the lanes are to the trees planted along the sidewalk, was a deliberate choice. It's like a living document, a story written in pavement and paint.
So that brings us to the big question for today's explainer. What if this road could actually talk? I mean, what would it say about the community's priorities, about its wealth, its culture, or even how disciplined its people are? Well, that is exactly what we're here to figure out.
Okay, first things first. We have to completely change how we think about roads. They are so much more than just a way to get from point A to point B. They are actually incredibly powerful social instruments. I mean, just think about it for a second. A really well-maintained road system, that's often a sign of a strong economy. And the way people drive on those roads, that tells you a ton about cultural attitudes. Roads are even a physical test of how effective law enforcement is. And in a way, they discipline all of us, teaching us rules, order, and how to cooperate. It's a pretty wild concept when you stop to think about it, isn't it?
So let's dig into that idea a little bit more. If roads really are social tools, then they must also be a kind of mirror reflecting our society right back at us.
Take a look at this scene. You've got pedestrians, you've got cyclists, even kids, all sharing the same space. This is a perfect illustration of how road design can prioritize different ways of life, reflecting a culture that values community, maybe a slower pace. It's a completely different world from, say, a 6-lane American highway, which tells a totally different story about speed and the individual driver.
And right here, you see an ambulance making its way through a clearly marked intersection. Now, this is about more than just managing traffic. A well-designed road network is a critical piece of public infrastructure. It makes sure that emergency services can get where they need to go fast. The takeaway here is so simple but so powerful. Good roads literally save lives. This right here is a perfect example of that discipline we were talking about. You've got these crisp lines, a dedicated bike lane, all the cars waiting patiently. It's like a symphony of cooperation. Roads don't just guide cars, they guide our behavior, pushing all of us to follow a shared set of rules for the good of everyone.
And this is exactly why understanding roads isn't just a job for civil engineers. No way. It's a truly multidisciplinary subject. You need sociologists to study how we interact on them, psychologists to understand driver behavior, lawyers for all the regulations, and even doctors to deal with the aftermath when things go wrong. It's an incredibly complex human system.
Okay, so we've talked about the deep social role of roads. But how are these complex things actually built? How do you make something that can withstand decades of traffic and crazy weather? Let's get into the nitty-gritty and shift our focus from philosophy to physics.
At its core, a modern road is made from a surprisingly simple recipe. You've got soil, which is the foundation for everything. Then you've got aggregate, which is kind of like the skeleton that gives it strength. And finally, bitumen, that sticky black stuff that holds it all together. You can think of it like baking a very, very durable cake, where every single layer is engineered for strength and a long life.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with the soil. This is the literal bedrock of the entire project. Before a single piece of pavement is laid, engineers have to analyze what kind of soil they're working with. Because, for instance, building on soft clay is a totally different and often much more expensive challenge than building on solid ground. So right from the get-go, a community that invests in preparing the foundation properly is showing foresight and economic stability.
Okay, next up is the aggregate. If the soil is the foundation, then this stuff is the muscle. It's a mix of crushed stone and sand that gives the pavement its core strength, and it's responsible for spreading out the immense pressure from thousands of cars every day. The quality of the aggregate used tells a story too. Using high-grade crushed granite for a major highway versus some simple local gravel for a country lane, well, that reflects budgets, priorities, and just how important that connection is.
And finally, we get to bitumen, the magic ingredient. This is the super sticky, black glue that binds the whole thing together. It provides waterproofing and gives the road just enough flex to expand in the summer heat and shrink in the winter cold without cracking. Now, using a high-quality, flexible bitumen is more expensive for sure, but it's a long-term investment in durability. Another one of those hidden clues to a community's values.
So now that we know what roads are made of, the next big question is a pretty obvious one. How can we build them better? And that leads us to the absolute cutting edge of highway science, sustainability.
Choosing the right materials is an incredibly complex balancing act for engineers. I mean, they have to consider the local climate, the cost and availability of materials, and how much traffic the road is actually going to see. But now, more than ever, there's a new factor that's shot right to the top of that list: the road's long-term environmental impact.
And this new focus has led to some absolutely brilliant innovations. We're seeing more and more recycled materials being used, things like old tires or even plastics mixed into the pavement. Engineers are developing eco-friendly additives, finding ways to use less energy during construction, and even designing entire green road systems. This is the future, right here.
So, what does this all add up to? Well, the road of the future isn't just about getting somewhere faster. It's this incredible blend of sociology, engineering, and environmental science. It's a promise of a future that is safer for us, greener for our planet, and more connected for all of society.
So, I'll leave you with this one thought. The next time you're out walking, or cycling, or driving, take a closer look at the road beneath you. Don't just see it as pavement, see it as a story. And ask yourself, what is it telling you about the world you live in?
Thanks for watching Engineering Talk. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep learning. See you in the next engineering discussion.